Back in 2020, when Tim and I co-founded PostHog, we believed two things. One, we felt that the tools for engineers to understand user behavior kind of sucked, and we can talk more about that another time. Second, we never, ever wanted to hire product managers. We believed, and we still believe, that the speed at which you ship is the single most important thing to your startup being successful. And we were just really worried that product managers would add a bunch of bureaucracy, approval process, it would disempower engineers, and it would just slow everything down. We were wrong about that. At our first ever offsite, we had about 15 engineers gathered together, and the one thing they asked for was a product manager. They wanted more clarity, more context, and just more help. But we were correct about one thing. Whilst you do need product managers, we've realized that you can avoid the culture traps that slow down an awful lot of other businesses. And in today's video, I'm going to walk you through our exact process for doing product management at PostHog, so you can do exactly the same thing at your company too. First, I'm going to talk about what product managers don't do at PostHog. So, at many other companies, product management goes a little bit like this. Part one, they'll talk to a bunch of execs and the salespeople to figure out what features are on people's minds. Second, they'll go through the sales pipeline and try and attach a literal dollar figure to the value of each potential feature request. They'll use this to try and prioritize things. Part three, there'll be more meetings with execs, salespeople, and other internal stakeholders to finalize and agree the prioritization. This is a very precise process. Usually engineers start getting involved, they have to provide things like t-shirt size estimates, so that not only are the features prioritized, but there are promised delivery dates all scheduled in for every single feature at a really granular level. Of course, all this stuff is pretty hypothetical. Fourth, product requirement docs will be written out, everything will be ticketed, and the engineers will be told to get in line and follow instructions. In the meanwhile, everyone has to hope that the existing customers don't notice that more of the focus is on new customers that don't exist yet. This process works really well for closing new big deals and getting revenue in the short run. However, if you zoom out a little bit and look further along the timeline, it will result in no word-of-mouth growth because nothing's being built to delight the existing users. It will result in high customer churn. And third, it results in slowness because every step of this process, and it's a multi-step process, involves its own bunch of approvals and meetings and shareholder buy-in. Now, there are probably a bunch of product managers listening to this right now and screaming at themselves or at the screen saying, these are examples of horrible product management, and that's exactly what I'm trying to get to. This is far too common. There is way too many product managers who exist to, at worst, control the engineers directly, or at best to try and shield them from all of the chaos that's happening internally when product is decided like this. It sucks for everyone involved. It will result in a product that is a list of half-baked features that have never been seen through properly and a lack of real product identity overall. It will result in a calendar that looks a little bit like this. Now take a look at a real engineer's calendar from PostHog like this. Packed calendars full of alignment meetings and no real time for shipping is exactly what Tim and I were scared of when we started the company. It's why we didn't want to hire product managers in the first place. So how do we make product decisions at PostHog? It starts with trusting engineers. Really simply, engineers at PostHog fully own the roadmap and all product decisions. They decide what to build, not the product managers. To explain why, let me tell you a story about an engineer at PostHog called Carl. Back when PostHog was just product analytics, Carl noticed that many customers were asking for session replays. He wanted to build it, but I thought it was a terrible idea. I thought it would take too long, and I was worried about losing focus. Carl disagreed and built it anyway during a hackathon. It ended up being wildly popular with customers. This made me realize that PostHog could be more than just product analytics. That's why we ended up building feature flags, experiments, surveys, error tracking, and all the other apps that make up our developer platform. And all this because a single engineer disagreed with one of the co-founders. The reason Carl was right, and why engineers are usually right, is that they have the deepest understanding of what can be built. They understand the technical constraints, see patterns across features, and know exactly how to solve the problem. Their job is threefold. 1, decide what to build. 2, build it. And 3, iterate and learn. The outcome is that they make successful products. So if engineers at PostHog make all the product decisions, then what do the product managers actually do? Their job is to make sure the engineers make better product decisions. They do this by ensuring we're tracking products properly, we know what to measure, and providing context to the engineers so they can make the right choices on what to build next. They do this by deciding what needs to be tracked, making sure we're actually looking at the metrics that are being tracked, and ensuring there's all the correct context in front of the engineers to equip them to make the right choices on what to build. Product managers are like a compass rather than a GPS. They'll tell engineers exactly where they are with the product and how they're doing, but they won't tell them where they need to go next. A specific example of a way that product managers work at PostHog is they conduct a growth review for every product that has at least some revenue. We go through a series of metrics. So we'll look at usage first of all, we'll look at usage at a feature level or an overall level for that product. We'll look at things like revenue growth, expansion, contraction, churn, the whole lot separated out and all together. We'll look at support SLAs because engineers are involved in keeping on top of often escalated tickets or sometimes all tickets depending on the state of the product. And finally, we'll look at things like Net Promoter Score and just softer feedback that's been given by customers in interviews too. The discussion will be had between the product manager, the engineering team lead, and perhaps a couple of the individual people might turn up to it as well. All of these things are shared publicly. They'll discuss questions like, do the goals that we've set for ourselves this quarter still even make sense? Are we pleasing our target persona? Is there another persona involved that's kind of unhappy right now? And basically, are we happy with our progress and do we need to change anything? This happens every month and it just makes sure that the team stay on track and it's rational what they're prioritizing. And it's the product manager's job to make sure this is actually happening and it's not introducing a whole bunch of extra work for engineers. For example, our product analytics product growth review has 115 different metrics that are looked at. And we really think that product managers can take a lot of that workload away from engineers so they can just keep shipping stuff. Growth reviews are one of the many ways we keep accountability through a tight feedback loop. Without having accountability like this, autonomy can just turn into directionlessness. There are a whole range of other activities that product managers can support at PostHog. They conduct user interviews and keep an eye on trends, they keep an eye on what competitors are doing, and they decide the pricing and pricing models and structure for all of our products and make sure everything gets set up with a billing system and launched properly every time we build something new. Notice though that none of the things that they do include leading teams or gathering product requirements and feeding them through to the engineers, because those are the types of behaviors that slow companies down ultimately. Product managers should always be challenging the assumptions that teams are making, but ultimately the accountability for the success or failure of our products should sit solely on the shoulders of the people who are actually building it. And at PostHog, that's the engineers. I can sum up a whole product philosophy at PostHog like this. We believe that great product managers do not control the team or the roadmap. Instead, they uncover insights that can amplify the impact of the rest of the team. And we believe that great product engineers don't need instructions. Great product engineers, however, decide what to build using the context that's provided by the product managers, their intuition, product sense, and their knowledge of what's technically possible. Working this way has let us ship a great product that's used by hundreds of thousands of customers, and we've become kind of notorious for shipping so quickly, even at scale. However, working like this is not for everyone. It requires having a team of engineers who are happy being much more proactive and more broadly involved than normal in deciding what to build, not just shipping code. It also requires hiring product managers who are willing to be low ego and provide actionable context rather than trying to control processes or decisions. If you truly commit to working like this, you'll build a much better product much faster. And moreover, everyone's going to have a lot more fun too. Startups are screwed by default. There are so many failure modes and the odds are stacked against you. It's easy to ignore the basic things that can make or break your company. One of the easiest to ignore of all is the relationship with your co-founder. Since Tim and I co-founded PostHog in 2020, we've come to realize that how we work together impacts everything. In a very real sense, we're the parents of PostHog, and when the parents don't work together well, the children are those who suffer. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the things we do to keep our co-founder relationship healthy.